In a similar fashion to Scream 1 and Scream 2, in 2023 we get Scream 6. This installment of the Scream franchise is once again directed by Tyler Gillett, as well as Matt Bettolini Olpin, and of course is starring Jenna Ortega, Melissa Barrera, and Courtney Cox. This sixth installment of the Scream franchise is our survivors from the Woodsboro murders from the last film, journey to New York City to start a fresh life when a new ghost face enters into the scene to track them down. And so we're going to talk about this movie and help you decide whether or not it's the right one to watch as the Christian right now. Hey friends, welcome to the channel. I am your host Tim, and we exist to help Christians live in the world, not of the world, by utilizing our convictions in the movies and shows we watch. Scream 6 is rated R, once again, just like the other ones, but it is rated R for some strong bloody violence, language throughout, and some brief drug use. So we're going to dive into any convictions you may have that may prevent you from watching this installment of Scream, any theological themes present within it, and wrap it up with my own personal thoughts on the film. Without further ado, let's dive into the Christian Conviction Meter. If this is your first time here, the Christian Conviction Meter is 5 convictions that may distract or hinder your relationship with Jesus. This is a resource to help you figure out whether or not Scream 6 aligns with the convictions that God has given you. And just like all the other installments of the Scream franchise, there's a lot of stabbing, there's a lot of death that is a part of this movie, which does mean a lot of blood. This is definitely a very brutal film. They're continuing in that just kind of brutality that we saw with the 5th installment, we saw with the 4th installment. It continues in this one, and I wouldn't say it's as brutal as the 5th or 4th ones, but the 6th one in particular is still fairly brutal, just not as much as the last 2, which is nice, but again, it's still a rated R project. It's still a Scream film, so you're going to have a lot of brutality here. There is one sequence in which a character falls to her death. There is another character who's stabbed in the eye. It's stabbed in the throat. Like, there's just a lot of that here within this film. There also is a scene in which a character, his body is all kind of carved up and is contained within a freezer, which is pretty crazy and disgusting. So that is something to keep in mind. Of course, there also is a lot of gunfire and using anything to attack Ghostface within this film. Kind of the usual that we've seen with the last 2 films is very much carried over in this one. Again, like I mentioned earlier, it is one of the more brutal of the franchise. We are going to give this a 5 out of 5 in this category. Our next category is lust, and there is definitely some interesting parts with this one here. There is very early on in the movie a guy and a girl going upstairs. The guy is definitely looking to take advantage of this girl in a alcoholic, drugged, not sober state. Prefacing, obviously spoilers for the film, but this does not go through because this character in particular has some really good friends. At the same time too, there also is a character within the film who considers herself sex positive, but really is just sleeping with a bunch of different guys, and we do hear what happens. And so that's all I'm going to say there. I'm not a crazy fan of that. I thought that was a really stupid decision, but there also is, of course, a scene in which a character is watching TV and a character on the TV in the movie, within the movie, is being attacked in the shower. Nothing's shown explicitly there as well, but just something to keep in mind. There also is a few moments in which a couple characters are having a very passionate kiss. There's a few scenes throughout the movie that has that. We're going to give this a 4 out of 5 just to be on the safe side, namely because while there isn't any explicit nudity or anything that is leaning towards that, a lot of the stuff within this film, I would argue, is stronger than particularly the last film and the film before that as well. Our next category is substances, and like I mentioned earlier, there is a house frat party that has some characters very much not in a sober state. Like I said, it almost leads a character up and to be taken advantage of. And we do see just some punch in the background. We do see a lot of different cans and bottles. A lot of them are empty, but there are a lot of bottles here. and they're looking for a drink and things of that sort. And so that is a part of the film. One of our leading characters is definitely not sober. You can tell. Well, it wouldn't say she's explicitly drunk. She's definitely not cognizant all that much. So that is something to keep in mind with this one. There also is a scene in which a character is smoking a cigarette, things of that sort. And apparently, according to the IMDb parent guide, there is cannabis use, but I don't remember that at all. And so I am going to include it here just to be on the safe side for you all. But there's a lot contained within this film that we should keep in mind and kind of understand. Also, at the same time, too, beer is drank throughout the film, things of that sort. So, all of that to say, we are going to give this a 4 out of 5 in this category, particularly because of the not sober state of some of our characters in the film. Our next category is profanity, and hell is used the D-A, B-A, B-I, S-H, D-I, I already said that one, and the A-word are all used within this film. There's a lot of language within this one, and that is something to keep in mind with that. There also is a few middle fingers used. There is also a few obscene gestures or references or talks about male private parts, things of that sort. So that is something to keep in mind as well. But just like the other previous installments of the Scream franchise, we also do get multiple uses of the F word contained within this film. So there is that. And of course, there also is a few OMGs, and Jesus is used in a more reactionary way, not a praise and worship way, like we should. All of that to say, it is going to be a 5 out of 5 in this category. Our last category is intense/horror scenes. This is a horror movie, which means you are going to deal with many of the classic horror elements, jump scares, tense moments, stuff to creep you out, things of that sort, meant to put you on the edge of your seat. And there are a lot of things through this movie that definitely do take place. I will say towards the beginning of the film, this ghost face is absolutely creepy and visceral. By far the most brutal and visceral of the ghost faces we've seen so far. Just to put it into perspective, there's a scene in which they're trying to navigate through a convenience store to escape Ghostface. A couple people step in, and they are very much taken out with such precision and ease. It is very terrifying. There is several chase sequences. There is lots of death within the film and screaming, all the things you would expect from this franchise as well. And there's just a lot of moments of just peril and putting our characters in position that just causes creepiness. There is a train sequence in which it's very, very tense because this movie takes place, funny enough, during Halloween. And there's a lot of characters dressed up in different masks, things of that sort. Several of them are in the ghost face mask, and so it causes just kind of a creepiness that is a part of this movie. Overall, it continues the same dark tone that we saw from the 4th and 5th ones, continues in the 6th one. It's going to be a 5 out of 5 in this category. So our grand total on the conviction meter is going to be a 23 out of 25. It is really just very intense and pretty, high in all the categories here. Of course, it's maxed out in its violence and gore and its profanity, and of course, its intense/horror scenes, just like it's been with really all the Scream franchise films thus far. All of that to say, though, if any of what we talked about compromises your convictions in any way, shape, or form, don't watch Scream 6. Your convictions are more important than watching this movie. So make sure to honor them, keep them first, because these convictions are God-given, so make sure to keep Him first. That leads us beautifully into our next topic as we dive into some theological themes that are present within Scream 6. And once again, just like the last two films, there really isn't anything here, nothing explicitly tying Jesus, the Bible, Christianity, church, none of that contained within this film. It does, again, have the overarching theme of because we live in a broken and fallen world, humanity is flawed and does a lot of things. There is very much an element of revenge within this film. And once again, just a reminder, revenge is not something we should partake in as Christians. We should seek justice, ultimately, but justice is ultimately the Lord's. God is perfect. We are not. God can carry out perfect justice. That's kind of a more overarching theme or something you can connect to, but there isn't anything explicitly about Jesus, the Bible, Christianity, the church contained within Scream 6. So without further ado, let's dive into what I think of Scream 6. Overall, the beginning of this film is very intriguing. Like, it caught me very much off guard. And overall was cool. And then we enter into kind of the full-on story of the film. And this ghost face at the beginning, I really like because it has a much different tone to him. And he carries out a much more kind of visceral, a much more scary look at this character. And it's so well done. I thoroughly enjoy it. And I thoroughly enjoy the portrayal of this particular iteration of Ghostface, at least at the beginning, because the way he carries out all these things is just with a crazy amount of just brutality, also precision as well. Like, he's able to take out who he needs to take out. Again, just that scene in the convenience store was crazy. There's also a few elements here story-wise I enjoy it. I like the fact that we're in a new city. I like the fact that we changed the environment, kind of similar to Scream 2. The college atmosphere is pretty good. I overall enjoy that as well. I think New York City is like the perfect kind of landscape or setting to put this film in. I thought that was done very well. Story-wise, overall solid. I do love Melissa Barrera's character and her inner dialogue and some of the things she struggles with. There's a lot of cool stuff here. I like that we brought back a few more legacy characters, namely Kirby. There's a lot to enjoy here. And I thought, honestly, towards the beginning, I actually may really like this Scream film. And then we get to the reveal of the villain. And they have this moment where they do this thing with the camera where they show off and give this really big reveal. And you go, oh shoot, this is really cool. They've not really, done this specifically before. I mean, they've done something similar before in the past many times, but this specifically they've never done before. And then you get to the reveal of who it is, and it felt like you had two magnets with the same force. When you put two magnets on the same side together and they're like just spinning around, like they can't connect, that's exactly what it felt like.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Because with how the character is and is portrayed as Ghostface, in my personal opinion, doesn't align with the characters that are in this film. It doesn't feel the same. And that makes me disappointed because, they brought up even within the film as this character is going to be the total opposite of this nerdy person or whatever, total opposite of the previous killer or whatever. And then they get to the reveal. I wouldn't say it's the opposite of that. It feels like it goes against the trope that they try to set up within the film. I guess they try to subvert expectations, but it just fell flat ultimately. There's things to enjoy about this film, there really is. But there is a lot I'm not crazy about, and particularly the way the twist ending just didn't work for me. So overall, with that, I was very disappointed in that regard. Overall, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. It's pretty good, but in no way, shape, or form do I think it's obviously the best film of the franchise. No, but it was fine. But those are my thoughts, so let me know yours down in the comments below. Let's chat all things about Scream 6 in the comments. And while you're down there, consider hitting that like and subscribing for us, joining our community here on YouTube. It should help send us out to the algorithm, allows us to reach more Christians to help them utilize their convictions in the movies and shows they watch. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with us here. We truly appreciate it. It means the absolute world to us. Before you go, there's a few video recommendations over here. If you want to see my thoughts on Scream 5, it's up here. And then there's a specially curated YouTube pick that they chose based off what you may enjoy. So if you want to check either of those out, it's available to you there. We'll see you all in the next one.